Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you joining us across from Europe and beyond. As we can see in our participant list, we have participants coming from different countries, and it is very nice to open this kind of webinar, which is a series part of our 𝘀𝗵𝗂𝘁 project. My name is Emilia Antonova, and I'm coming from Foundation for Management and Industrial Research. We are situated in Macedonia, and I'm really truly delighted to be the moderator for today's 𝘀𝗵𝗂𝘁 policy webinar, which we titled Driving Institutional Change in STEM, Best Practices for Inclusive Higher Education and Research. As you can see in our agenda, today's session is part of ongoing effort within the 𝘀𝗵𝗂𝘁 project, which is our Horizon Europe initiative that focuses on strengthening the gender equality and inclusion in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And those are areas that are shaping all of our collective future. We have been speaking about institutional change in STEM, and we are really thinking about transforming the way that universities, research institutions, and innovation ecosystem, they are valuing the diversity, inclusion, and gender balance. So it is time for us to ensure that the women and the underrepresented groups have those equal opportunities. And when we are talking about opportunities, we mean how they can learn, lead, and some of them innovate, because we truly believe that diversity is not just affairs issues, but is a driver of creativity, better science, and better solutions for the society. The European Union has been the forefront of promising such change, and this is happening through different kinds of mechanisms, such as gender equality plans, gender budgeting, and many other inclusive policies. Yet, as we can all see, the progress doesn't happen automatically, so it requires institutional commitment, shared knowledge, and collaboration across borders and disciplines. That is why exactly what we are doing here today. We are creating a space, and this space is going to be space for exchange, learning, reflection, where every researcher will meet policy, and where people are going to work on the ground, we can share and really work in making this change sustainable. So whether you are a policymaker, you're a researcher, you're a student, or you're just a practitioner, your input today can really truly help and shape the way we move forward in building this inclusive STEM environment across Europe. Before we begin, as you know, we have technical notes to announce. So this session is going to be recorded, and the recording is going to be shared afterwards. So after all of the presentation, we will have the session that is going to open for Q&A, where we're going to have a really open discussion. And plus we prepare one interesting, engagement with all of you, which is going to be with the Mentimeter. So please keep your time and stay with us till the end, because it's going to be a very interesting open discussion for all. In the meantime, while our speakers are talking, you may feel to use the chat, so you can ask questions using the Q&A function to post all of your questions that you want us to address on the end. So feel free as well to introduce yourself in the chat and to share some contacts, because we know that this kind of events can be as well a wonderful space for networking. So I would like to say thank you to all of you that you took time to join us today. And I would like to begin and hear more about the project that brings us all together. So I'm very pleased that today we have the lead of our consortium, Catalina Borni. She's coming from 𝘁𝗲𝗏. She's going to give us a brief overview about our 𝘀𝗵𝗂𝘁 project. So it's going to remind us about the goals, the partners, the actions we are implementing, and which is very important, why we are promoting gender equality and inclusiveness in STEM research and education, and how come we came up with this idea about implementing those series of the webinars. So Catalin, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to open this webinar in this way. So a very brief presentation about the 𝘀𝗵𝗂𝘁 project. This is a Horizon support and action project, and our whole project is about thinking and improving the way how we want to see STEAM education more gender equal. So in our project, we are focusing on two main things. One is the STEAM approaches. So we are experimenting on what is STEAM approach in education, and plus we would like to do it with a gender inclusive perspective. And as you can see, we are quite a large consortium. We have 20 partners and 1 affiliated partners on board. And here you can see a very nice picture what we took at our kickoff meeting. So let's speak about what activities we are doing in this project. First, I would like to talk about what you can see under the second icon. So first, we started with conducting the research. We wanted to see 3 kind of findings. The first one was that we looked for those who already implemented a project on STEM education, and we asked them that what were their challenges, what they achieved. And then we wanted to see what the young women who entered into universities in any kind of STEM fields, how they experience, what is it being a woman studying at a higher education level. And then we wanted to see what those who are the education provider think of what the gender equality issue in the STEM field. And so we conducted this research, and we have our findings. We are published it in a research report, and it's still ongoing to analyze the data more deeply. And then we have an activity in the project, which is about piloting different educational activities. And in one of the activities, what we call the talent nurturing program, we are organizing a workshop for teenage girls, which is really focusing on strengthening their belief that they should, or if, of course, if they want, they should pursue STEM career. And then we are experimenting on how we can make hands-on activities at Science Museum more gender equal, more gender sensitive. And then we have a mentoring program, which in some of the countries already running, a mentoring program for university students, including BA, ME, and PhD students. And then I would like to draw your attention on that we are supporting educators, teachers, and those who are involved in providing STEM education. And we are doing it online and offline as well. We have an online space, which we call a virtual makerspace. And here we are providing all kinds of resources and information on relevant events. And at this page, it's also a landing page for the National Inspiration Hubs, which are community of practices, a type of community of practices running in 10 countries currently. And this is spaces for involving teachers, educators. We are organizing webinars in this space as well. And as an ongoing activity in the project, we are collecting best practices, which we are very open for receiving new ideas, new tips for what we can share on best practices. For the best practices, we are also focusing on, so it should be something which is about STEM education, STEAM approaches, and gender equality. And we are also doing impact assessment, which is connected to the educational activities we are implementing and piloting. A few words about the webinars you are attending now. So we have a policy work. We have a work package in which we are doing policy work, and in relation to it, we are organizing policy dialogue webinars, and you are just attending to the third of this webinar series. All of the webinars are freely accessible at the website. So what we are doing here is that we are collecting information, insights, we are learning. So we are studying on what we should include into a roadmap, which will be titled as the European Roadmap for supporting the implementation of the European Manifesto for Gender Inclusive STEAM Education and Careers. So in this roadmap, we would like to say something about how the STEAM education should be done more inclusive. And in the next phase of the webinar series, which is going to be in 2026, we will specifically target the different target groups, so the different stakeholders. And it's still under development, but we will announce soon, not so soon, like in December, that what kind of topics, what kind of stakeholders we are targeting for these different webinars. So the second phase of the webinar series. And then all what we gather during the webinars and through the research to the impact assessment of the educational activities we are piloting, we will summarize everything in the roadmap, what we will present at our final conference, which will be next year, sometime in November in Brussels. And then just a very few words about what is this manifesto. So our whole project is built on the European, what is called the European Manifesto for Gender Inclusive STEAM Education and Careers. And here at the bottom, you can see the image of the document. And it's a little bit misleading because this document is still not about the manifesto. The manifesto, the European Manifesto, is one of the activities we are doing in the project. So we will provide a draft manifesto for the European Commission to use. And here, so I'm not going to speak about it more, but here I'm just presented what are the main saying from this document. So as you can see, this is really something about how we can make the STEM education more gender balanced, more gender equal. And a few, really just a few insights from the few thoughts for the webinar, for the key speakers, for the discussions we will have. So recently we were studying the status quo of gender equality in STEM education, and we are participating in lots of webinars, workshops, and so we are gathering a few insights which can be interesting for today's webinar. One is that what we really see is that there are lots of programs, lots of projects already. There are statistics showing that there are differences. And although there are so many incentives, so many support, we see that nothing really changes in terms of the discrimination, inequality, what we can speak about, in relation to STEM education and careers. So that's why we think it's important to see that how these differences, how these inequalities are made. And we also would like to recommend to focus on assessing how these programs operate, what are their impacts. And what we can also share that we found in our research is that so we were discussing the gender equality discrimination, how those who are providing the STEM education, what they see, and what we found that they perceive the challenges they are really coming from the time before the women enter into the higher education, which is on one hand is good. I mean, it's a positive that the higher education, so we can say that the higher education perspective includes that there are problems before the higher education. On the other hand, what we see is that the challenges, the reason, the timing of the challenges, it was really projecting outside of the higher education institution. So they were speaking either that it's coming in connection to the societal-based stereotypes, norms related to the parents, teachers. So they were either talking about this, or they were talking about that the challenges coming after graduation in relation to the work-life balances, timing of having a family. So I leave these thoughts for the webinars, and I am also very much looking for listening to the key speaker presentations. So the floor is back to you.
Thank you very much, Katalin. This was really an insightful overview of the 𝗁𝗵𝗁𝗁 project and for setting the stage for today's not only webinar, but as well discussion. You can stop sharing now the screen. I would like to say a few words. This kind of webinars, as you could see, are organizing frequently from a part of our project. So this webinar is organized on behalf of Foundation for Management and Industrial Research together with ReadLab Brussels. And I'm really happy that my two colleagues, Monica and Christina, are here as well today with us. So we will hear them in the second part. But in the meanwhile, I would ask Monica, so how we are talking, maybe she could share some kind of links from our platform, from the virtual space and best practices, so we can engage you somehow and you can keep it up with our project and maybe somehow support us in our next webinars to be our guest, or in the same time recommend some of the things that are important and that we can use in the documents that already were mentioned by Catalin. You saw in the presentation and as well when we were doing the promotion that we had planned 3 speakers for today. Unfortunately, we were going to miss one of them, but we are really happy that today with us we had 2 really great and amazing speakers that are going to keep it up the floor and bring up the energy. So we are going to hear really interesting thoughts. So the first, it's pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Dr. 𝗪𝗲𝗁𝗂𝗪. And I think that Eva, you are going to break the ice into presentation of the best learning practices. I would like to say a few words about Eva. She holds a PhD in education from the Universitat de Burgos. This is like the Spanish version. As well, she has a master's degree in educational research and innovation. She's both an occupational therapist and a primary teacher, which is specializing in special education. And her research interests include pre-service teacher education, science and gender, as well as inclusive education. So all those crucial themes for gender equality are very important in institutional framework. So Eva, it's going to be a very good pleasure for us having you with us today. Please go ahead and the floor is yours in those 15-20 minutes. So we are really eager to hear more about you and the things that you are doing in your organization.
Okay, thank you very much, Emilia, for introducing me. And well, thank you also, Monica and Christina, for inviting me to this seminar and for preparing everything so well. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Is it all right? Can you see it? Okay, perfect. Well, first of all, I'm going to introduce myself very briefly. My name is Eva, and I have a PhD in education, as Emilia said before. And this PhD education specifically is focused on promoting inclusive science learning spaces through STEAM teaching approaches. So my research interest is focused on how we can democratize the access to STEM disciplines, because as we all know, not all people have the same opportunities to be part of the STEM world. And well, for instance, it's also well known that one of the groups that faces several barriers are women instead. Well, I work here at the University of Burgos. This is a medium-sized university. We have around 9,800 students. And one of its particularities is that it is located in Burgos. It's a city with a powerful industrial network. And in this network, the University of Burgos plays a key role in supporting the ecosystem through innovation, through research, and through technology transfer. And of course, we have collaboration with internships and training. So this collaboration between the university and the industry of the city has contributed to reinforce STEAM degrees and careers in our university and in our city. But for me, more importantly, is that this collaboration has allowed us to reflect on the lack of diversity among the people who are involved in this in this world. Well, in general terms, the University of Burgos, as other universities in the country, here in Spain, and suppose also in other European countries, we are taking measures to equality between men and women in all spheres, including, of course, gender gap in STEM. And these measures are also in line with social and legislative demands that are calling for the end of discrimination. And thanks to this stance, the University of Burgos is working on rethinking the university as an adaptive and inclusive institution through, well, services dedicated exclusively to diversity and to equality support that work to ensure the rights of the entire community in our university in terms of inclusion and non-discrimination. Well, specifically, we have since 2013 equality plans in which measures are included in order to transform policies, the institutional structure, and also the culture of our university. And this systematic view, from our point of view, is essential, is fundamental in order to move steadily towards a truly equality. Well, related to gender gap in STEM, our issue here, the actions to be developed are in accordance with the promotion of training that breaks down the stereotypes in the fields of STEM, and also prepare teaching staff for implementing inclusive and gender-sensitive strategies and methodologies in the classrooms, specifically for our professors at university, but also we are working with pre and primary schools and secondary schools for implementing this inclusive and gender perspective. Another action is raising the visibility and raising the awareness of the impact of women's research results, and developing, well, we are trying to develop a directory of female experts, which will be available to the educational community in order to contribute to create a network between our researchers, professors at our university, but also with the industry and, of course, with the whole community here in our city. And finally, of course, we have actions in line with boosting women participation by, first of all, we have to identify which are those barriers that prevent women to participate in STEM disciplines, and of course, afterwards remove them somehow. So this is one of the main lines in our planning. Well, among all the actions being carried out to meet these objectives, I will highlight 5 of them, of these examples of actions that promote training, networking, participating, and visibility of women. And first of all, I would like to share with you the Virtual School of Equality. This is a free training available for all university students, and it consists of 6 different courses. And among them, we find one related to equality and education, in which participants learn about the fundamentals, the keys of co-education, and the keys to developing an education that builds an egalitarian world, so since preschool. Another one is related to equality and research, in which participants discover how women have been incorporated into university and teaching and research, and what obstacles they still encounter in their careers, and the importance of include a perspective, gender perspective, when we are doing a research. And the last one, the one I want to share with you, is one related to culture and communication. This module fits very well with the 𝗁𝗵𝘁, because we try to, in this sense, we try to incorporate this gender perspective also in how we communicate science. We think that it's very important in this promotion of women in STEM disciplines. Well, the second example is about a group of, 3 professors at the Faculty of Education here in our university. They are working together with future primary teachers, and they are from 3 different subjects. One is from science, the other one is from social science, and the last one is from language education. And the 3 of them together, they are trying to teach future teachers how to implement strategies and methodologies like the engineering design process, inquiry science, and how they can integrate strategies from the universal learning design, just to make the ecosystem of the school a little bit more inclusive for everyone, for women, for people with some kind of disabilities, wherever. Well, the next one is related to creating networking between female women. And this is an annual event that is celebrated. The last edition was here in Burgos, but we have the collaboration for the other universities of Castilla y León, our region, the region where we live, and all together we celebrate this forum where female researchers and professionals working in different STEM fields meet and exchange experiences. They have the opportunity to network, to start new lines of research or wherever. And in this event, of course, male are very welcome to attend, but in this case, female researchers are the protagonists. And the other one, the 4th action, is also an annual event, which of course is celebrated in other cities, in other European countries, but I think it's worth highlighted, at least in our small city, because it's relevance, because it arouses the curiosity of people of different ages who come to our place to learn about the advances in science and technology being developed by women and in our city. And for us, this experience is very well welcomed by the citizens, because it serves as an inspiration and source of pride for the whole city. And the last example is the European projects that are supported and very valued by our university. One example is this, 𝘁𝗵𝗁, but today I want also to share with you this Elevate WISE project. This project comprises 6 higher education institutes, 4 in sub-Saharan Africa, 2 specifically in Ivory Coast, and the other 2 in Cape Verde, and the other one is University of Burgos and another higher institution in Portugal. Sorry. Specifically, this project focuses on designing innovative educational strategies, creating, as we do here in 𝘁𝗵𝗁, mentoring networks, and establishing. They are trying to establish a digital educational platform to support STEM students and also professionals. And well, to conclude, some lessons learned for this process, we want to highlight the importance of emphasize that institutional change requires a systematic vision, because isolated actions are not enough. It's necessary to integrate equality policies, innovation, and scientific development with a coherent institutional strategy. For example, through equality plans that promote transparency and fairness in scientific production. Secondly, it's equally important to continue working on training and awareness, as they are key drivers of transformation. Initiatives such as the Virtual School of Equality or the Women's Research Meeting not only increase the visibility of these researchers, but also create network and help shift mindsets. Of course, it's also essential to foster alliances between university, with companies, with associations, with NGOs, in fact, with all the community, with the whole community, if we want that our actions have a real impact in our society. And finally, from my view, this is the most important point in here, is that we have to consolidate equality services, in our case here at university, with sufficient resources and visible leaderships to ensure effective implementation, effective monitoring, as Katalin said before in her intervention. We have to assess what we are doing in order to know if they have a real impact or not. And we have to try to be sustainable with these inclusive policies that we are trying to implement in our spaces, no, in our areas. And well, I don't know if I speak very fast or not, but thank you very much for your attention. And well, we have time to talk in the rest of seminar. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Eva, very much for the inspiring presentation. It was very nice that you used as well some kind of pictures and some kind of examples from the previous experience. So it really pointed out in the maximum everything that you're doing. I'm sure that there is plenty more things that is behind the story, but this is the moment that I'm going to encourage everyone to visit your sites and as well to check more about what are you doing. This is really important to know that your presentation is showing us how education and engagement can help just to close maybe somehow the gender gap in STEM, but I'm so really delightful that we hear all of those examples, and we are looking forward for the questions that will arrive afterwards. So now I'm going to introduce the second speaker. That is 𝗪𝗵𝗶𝘀. She's a computer science student at the University of Stuttgart. Currently, she's focusing on AI safety. So we all know that now everything goes very virtual and it is really connected with AI. So she's very passionate about advancing gender equality in STEM, creating inclusive academic environments. Throughout her studies, she has served as a mentor and a role model because she was supporting the high school students that are interested in STEM, because she was organizing lots of networking events and building communities within her university. She is as well founder of the Women in STEM, which is an initiative that fosters connection, visibility, and confidence among female students in the STEM. 𝗪𝗵𝗶, we are really looking forward to hear more all of the things that you're doing, and maybe to motivate us how we can join these kind of activities and why those activities are important, how the community can benefit out of it. The floor is yours.
First of all, thank you so much for your introduction, and thank you for inviting me to this wonderful webinar. I will now share my slides. Okay, I hope you can all see them. So as you just heard, I'm a computer science student at the University of Stuttgart, and I'm also the founder of a Women in STEM initiative at my university. And we're also hosting events that allow students to connect with each other and also to meet role models from industry and academia. And so in my contribution today, I would like to share some lessons I have learned from my personal experiences as a female STEM student at the University of Stuttgart, as well as from my interactions with fellow students, mentors, professors, and also other women in STEM. And I would also like to reflect on how these insights could be used to create a more supportive ecosystem for female STEM students at universities. So basically, I'm here today to shed light on a student perspective on how we can drive institutional change to make the future of STEM more inclusive. So let's begin with the foundation, creating supportive ecosystems. Because in my opinion, a sense of belonging and also strong peer networks play a decisive role in retaining women in STEM programs. Because as a female STEM student, one often feels like a unicorn or an alien in male-dominated environments. For instance, there were lots of cases where I actually was the only female student in a class. And in general, only 35% of female students, of STEM students are female. So I think opportunities to connect with other female students and exchange experience with others who might have encountered similar challenges can really make a big difference in feeling less alone, and in also creating some sense of belonging. So my first best practice advice for universities would be that they should actively create opportunities and safe spaces where female STEM students can connect and exchange experiences and also build community. And in addition, it would also be nice if universities could actively support student associations and student-led initiatives in doing so. So I wanted to start with an example from my university, because the Computer Science Student Association hosts a ladies' night at the start of each winter semester, which really helps new female students in this department to meet peers and also to receive practical guidance from upper semester students, and thereby we're fostering a sense of community from the first day. And also when I participated as an organizer in this event, I was really inspired by the empowering atmosphere that was created by filling a whole room with computer science students who are girls, because that's something I rarely see at my university. So yeah, I think, creating like these ecosystems from bottom up is very important. And also to strengthen these ecosystems even further, I think it's essential to recognize how student-led initiatives can also complement and enhance institutional strategies. Because as students, we often know best what other students need. Especially as female STEM students, we talk with other female STEM students and we know what they are, for instance, missing at our university. And also, events which are organized by students tend to have a lower entry barrier, and we can also reach a wide range of participants through our personal networks. So here on the right side on the slide, you can see some pictures from an event that I hosted with my Women in STEM initiative this spring, which enabled female STEM students from a variety of degrees to connect with each other. And yeah, after the event, lots of students shared with us that they really enjoyed the open and comfortable atmosphere. We hosted the event in a cafe on campus, and it was just very inspiring and empowering. And I think this was precisely because it was organized from students for students. And so in this case, my best practice advice would be that universities should actively empower and sustain such initiatives by students through, on the one hand, accessible financial, but also, on the other hand, administrative resources. So first of all, this means students need accessible funding opportunities. For instance, at my university, we have a diversity fund where students can apply to in order to get some funding for events or initiatives. Secondly, administrative assistance is also important. For instance, help with room booking, promotion of events via official university channels, or also access to institutional resources, for instance, to print flyers or posters. And also, the last point would be formal recognition of student engagement. So, for instance, partnerships with diversity or equality offices. We also, for instance, did this for our last event. We partnered with the department which is responsible for advancing gender equality at our university. So this is also very helpful to bring together student initiatives with institutional departments to create partnerships. Yeah, and then the next crucial pillar building on these networks, which I just mentioned, is mentorship and visibility. Because to combat imposter syndrome, something lots of female STEM students, me included, regularly experience, and also to foster confidence among women in STEM, I think it's essential to ensure clear visibility of female role models at every stage of the career pipeline. So this starts with high school students, and this ends when women become professors or are in leadership positions. And yeah, I think it's important that we have role models at each step of this journey. Especially female STEM students often struggle to envision their future in their field because they lack visible role models. For instance, in my case, before I studied with my degree, I have never ever met a woman in computer science. And this made it hard for me to imagine myself in this degree. And so also in general, only around 28% of the STEM workforce globally are women. So unfortunately, we're still the minority. And so for this point, my best practice advice would be that universities should create regular opportunities for students to engage with women from diverse professional paths in academia and in industry who are basically a few steps ahead in their careers. So for instance, these could be alumni of the university. And in addition to that, structured mentoring programs are also highly effective. And I also have a couple of examples for that. So here on the, like in the corner of the slide, you can see a picture from a Women in STEM career event we hosted this year at my university, where we invited successful women from companies such as Bosch or IBM, and they shared their career paths and their experiences in an open Q&A format. So the students participating in our event were able to ask them all kinds of questions, and this really helped lots of them, as they told us afterwards. And our university also offers a mentoring program, which is called Start Science. And this connects female bachelor's and master's students with PhD students in order to provide valuable insights into research careers, if students are interested in that. And here I also have brought another picture. It's from the Femtech Scholarship. This is basically a career building program, which is offered by various technical universities across Germany. And it also supports female STEM students by connecting them with industry partners and helping them build networks. So these examples show that mentoring not only provides professional guidance, but it also plays a crucial role in building confidence and reducing self-doubt. Because studying in male-dominated environments frequently fosters self-doubt and feelings of not belonging. If you're surrounded by a bunch of guys and you're asking yourself, what am I doing here? Access to role models who can openly discuss these feelings is crucial for validation and empowerment. And I also have an example from one of our events, because after the event, a participant, like some months later, she shared that meeting a role model at our event really gave her the confidence to apply to a job she initially felt unqualified for. But she was actually not unqualified. She just had lots of self-doubts. But now she's actually a trainee at Bosch because of our event. And I think this really shows what an impact role models can have on female STEM students. So my best practice advice in this case is that universities should create explicit formalized channels such as open consultation hours with female faculty members or structured mentoring programs where students can seek mentorship when facing self-doubt. And I think this visibility of role models should not only start at the university level, because to truly close the gender gap in STEM fields, I think we must support girls even before they enter higher education. Because there are actually lots of like female high school students who are really interested in STEM, but they hesitate to pursue such a degree because of stereotypes or because of the fear of not being good enough for such a degree. And so encouraging girls at this stage, I think, is a key to increase female participation in STEM studies. So my best practice advice for this point is that universities should foster early engagement through opportunities such as Open Doors Days. We have this every year where children and high schoolers can come and take a look at the university. Workshops led by female students or researchers. I sometimes also go to high schools and tell about my degree, and students can ask questions, and also mentoring programs that connect university students with high schoolers. And actually, before I started studying, I personally benefited from such a program. It's called Try Science, and it connected me with a university student who really encouraged me to pursue computer science despite my initial self-doubts. And now I'm almost done with my degree. So yeah, I think this also shows how helpful this can be. And then later during my studies, I became a mentor myself, and I supported high school students in exploring STEM subjects. And one of my mentees in this program, she told me that I inspired her to learn more about maths and computer science, and that she aspires to become like me one day. So I think this is another great example how mentoring programs can help. And another example is the Girls' Future Day, which we have in Germany, where workshops are offered by universities and companies in order to introduce girls to professions in which women are underrepresented. And yeah, my university also takes part in this. And then as a last point for this section, I would also like to mention that visibility also matters within universities, because in universities, female researchers still remain underrepresented, but they deserve to be seen and celebrated. And for instance, in Germany, we only have around 30% of professors who are women. So many students lack visible academic role models. For instance, throughout my bachelor's degree, I only had one single female professor, and the rest were all men. So I would also advise universities to actively highlight achievements of female researchers through public talks, panel discussions, and also institutional communication. And yeah, I also brought an example from an event I actually hosted last week, and as part of our Women in STEM initiative. And we hosted a panel discussion featuring 3 professors from my university who shared their career paths, experiences, and advice. And I think this was great for all the participants to see how wonderful researchers we have at my university. And this also brings me to my last point, because I think individual and community efforts, for instance, like student-led initiatives, are vital, but change also requires institutional commitment. Because inclusive academic culture also begins with awareness. So to ensure inclusive teaching and communication, I think university staff and faculty must be trained to recognize and address gender-related barriers and unconscious bias. So a best practice advice I have here is that mandatory coaching and workshops on topics such as unconscious bias, gender-sensitive language, and workplace sexism should be implemented, particularly for staff and faculty in leadership and teaching roles. And also students should have the opportunity to increase their expertise and awareness in this field. So an example, at my university, we have the Certificate Gender and Diversity, which is offered to students and doctoral researchers. And it's an excellent model for formalizing qualifications in this area. Like participants can attend a couple of courses and learn about these things. And also here's a picture from the panel discussion. We also invited all students, not only female students, so that also like male students could learn, for instance, about structural barriers and discrimination women in STEM still face today. And yes, beyond the awareness I just mentioned, I think institutional accountability is key as well. So to embed gender equality structurally, universities should establish dedicated permanent offices which are responsible for diversity, inclusion, and also gender equality in order to ensure that these initiatives are not temporary, but also part of a long-term strategy. And I think it's also from a student perspective important that these initiatives are visible and also accessible for students, especially when students have personal concerns or questions, or in the worst case, if they want to report cases of discrimination or sexism. And so at my university, we have UNICAS. It's the Unit for Inclusive University Culture, and it also supports the Vice Rector for Early Career Researchers and Diversity, and it also works with gender equality offices across faculties to implement diversity strategies. And I think to ensure that progress is made, the university's own equality goals should also be monitored and controlled. Yeah, so now in conclusion, I think that creating gender equality in STEM, it's not only about individual encouragement, it's about a whole ecosystem that supports women in STEM. So if universities combine structural support, mentoring opportunities, visibility of role models, support of student-led initiatives, fostering a community and network building, and institutional accountability, this can truly transform how women experience STEM in higher education and research. And I think when all these elements come together, we create environments where women not only enter STEM programs, but they also thrive, lead, and shape the future of science and technology. Yeah, that was it from my side. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm excited for the panel discussion.
Thank you, Anieta. This was really inspiring talk, and it was really nice example of how we can close our presentation segment, because you were using examples that are coming up from your own perspective and experience, which really highlighted even more the presentation. So now we will move on the Q&A. This is the moment where you can raise many questions for our speakers that we can address in this webinar. But because we were thinking that it's going to be much interesting if we are engaging all of you, so now I will give the floor to my colleague Christina, which is going to explain you shortly how we're going to introduce Mentimeter in this webinar, so we can all contribute with some answers on the questions that we prepared for you. Christina, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Emilia. Thank you very much, Eva and Anieta, for your very insightful presentations, and they have been incredibly interesting, and they have shed light a lot on the topic that we are discussing today. So I'm Cristina Martin. I'm coming from ReadLab Brussels. We are very happy to be organizing this webinar today, and thank you to all to be participating today. So we want a little action from you in order to continue the discussion and not only leave it to the panel side, but also count with your opinion. So the moment that my screen is showing, you will see the presentation of the Mentimeter to know what do you think about everything that we have discussed. So we have prepared 3 short questions. And to join the Mentimeter, you can scan the code, the QR code with your telephone. And then with that, you can join. You will see the presentation as with the slide that I'm showing. So you cannot continue until the moment that I continue. So I'm seeing that people are joining. If you have any difficulty joining via your phone, you can also join via your laptop or searching for the Mentimeter page and introducing the code that is both. So 89323625. So I'm seeing 13 people joining, but more people are joining in a minute. So I'll let one more minute in order to all the people to join and to start the discussion. So as I said, we're having 3 short questions. They are not long. They are choosing an option, sending one word and for your opinion, and then a short answer for the last one. And they're connecting what Eva and Anita have presented. And with that, we'll link the panelist discussion in order to have a more insightful debate after this. So people are still joining, so I want to leave that minute over there. Because the moment that I show my next screen, you will not able to join, but the QR will not longer show. So thank you very much for everybody joining, and I hope that we have many answers. No wrong answers, no right answers. So let's go ahead. For you, what is the most relevant barrier that still prevents girls from choosing STEM pathways, even when opportunity exists? So this question is related to the last point raised by Anieta, that, well, the last several points, because she raised many points. So we're discussing inspiration among girls, mentoring programs coming from their university, coming from the students, relationships from the university to high schools or schools, and all the measures that could be also implemented by the university, like, for example, the best practices that Eva has presented in her presentation. So we want to know, in your opinion, which of those barriers or lack of best practices could be impacting more girls from choosing STEM, even when there are measures that are still being put into place in order to encourage them to continue. So far we have quite a diverse opinion on this. We have the lack of supported ecosystem with 6 points, equal by the lack of mentoring and visibility. And in a third position, the lack of awareness and accountability on institutional level. So as we have discussed before, the lack of mentoring and visibility does lead to self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and not seeing yourself in a career in the future and being able to be successful in this, in a STEM pathway. Lack of supportive ecosystem means as well that university research institutions and the educational system in general are not being supporting enough in order to contribute and implement the measures that are necessary to encourage girls and feel them welcome and feel them belonging. And this is also issued by a lack of awareness and accountability at the institutional level. So as we see, opinions are quite diverse, so meaning that this all three are equally important among people that are living this. So we have the opinions of professors, students, and teachers over here. So thank you very much for introducing you into the comments so we know where those opinions are coming from. So going to the next one, in one word, what kind of institutional support would make it easier for you to integrate a gender perspective in your daily work? So the moment that you introduce one word, it will pop up into the slides. But yeah, this question is more related into how can we integrate our work into our own work, this gender perspective that we are missing in order to have a greater feeling of belonging to the STEM pathways and contribute to gender equality and gender inclusiveness within STEM careers. So some of them are really popping up. If there are more repeatedly several times, the word will become bigger. So that's why a role model is taking a protagonist's place in this part. So also diversity strategy coming from the university and research institutions, I assume, also the educational system. Inspiration, which is very well led to role models, resources and financial resources and funding are also very important points of supporting gender perspective and approaches in STEM work and daily work in general. Making a partnership, cooperation, also very important, the commitment, long-term commitment into these topics, and not only brand or what word? Intersectionality, very important. I've seen on the comments as well that we have people also focusing not only in gender perspective, but disability inclusive measures, as Eva has also presented, make inclusivity of people with a maker background, also very important. Transparency in pay, very important, also related to financial issues in order to combat all the barriers. Intersectionality is coming bigger, commitments are getting bigger, role models coming bigger, promotion events, also support coming from the institutions, and I believe adding capacity building and fight against biases. So if we continue with the biases that we work now, we cannot continue with that. And I think we have right now a very good map of all the opinions have been verted. Very important part of the financial, which is how we can continue with any cooperation measure that we have, any intersectionality measure that we want to implement coming from the institutions, and any mentoring program or role model program that we want to have. So thank you very much for all your answers. We're going to continue, and encouragement very important. So we have a very nice map over here. So the last question that we have is very related to the point that Anita raised in many of her slides as well. And it's something that we have seen also in our own research, streaming research, and something that has been going around all the discussions that we had over the past hour. What helps you feel a stronger sense of belonging in your academic or professional community? So this is a short answer. You can answer with 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, a short sentence. So this is also a very important point, because if we don't have a feeling of belonging as women or minority working in STEM, that will hamper our career in the future, or even entering into the career, because as we have said before, the question of what am I doing here or how am I going to achieve that is something that comes ahead in our head every time that we try to pursue this kind of careers. So we have the work collaborations coming up again, seeing how important it is. Female colleagues, so having already a pool of women to work with, it is also very important. Having a mentor that can show you the work ahead and the path ahead, very important, and that can provide you a little bit of emotional support coming from colleagues, mentors, or your surroundings. Teamwork as well, very important. Safe space for expression so finding a safe space in your working environment also crucial in order to feel belonging, and that you can raise any position, any point, or any issue that has risen in between your career. Support for career development as well. If there is no support of your parameters or your pathway that you can continue, you cannot feel that you're going to achieve that. Like, for example, the example set by Anita with the trainee that ended up in Bosch working, so very nice as well. And the longest answer that we have is collaboration, recognition, and opportunities to share ideas help me feel stronger sense of belonging in my professional community. So very well put, very well summed up. Collaborating with colleagues that make you feel a safe space and that you can work with without feeling a barrier between you and the others. Recognition of your own value and your own work. Opportunities to share ideas and to be listened to, and all that combined will help us have a stronger sense of belonging in our professional community. So thank you very much for participating. All of the responses have been very insightful, and this is the end of the Mentimeter, and we're going to continue with the panel discussion. So I'll leave the floor to Emilia. Thank you very much for participating.
Thank you, Christina. It's very nice when we see different kind of approaches, and this has been like a brainstorming for all of us, or an icebreaker that will give us the floor, continuing with some more questions. So we receive questions in the Q&A. I would like to say hi to 𝗪𝗵𝗁𝗶𝘀. She raised a couple of questions, but maybe I will just choose some of them. First, I will ask Anieta. So this is a question coming from a participant. Sometimes a student may have an assigned mentor, but yet they don't seem to connect. So what qualities or skills do you think a good mentor should have to build a genuine and meaningful relationship? Maybe you can use some of your experience, some similar situation that arise.
So I participated in a couple mentoring programs as a mentee as well as a mentor. And so I think one very important thing is that as a mentor, you're actually committed to participate in this program, and do you actually take the time to listen to your mentee and always have an open ear whenever they have questions, whenever they reach out to you, whenever they want to know something. And I think it's really important that as a mentor, you really focus on what the student or the high school student or whoever is your mentee really needs, and that you try to guide them in finding, like maybe also finding answers to their questions themselves, but it's like always about helping them, providing them with resources, and always like being there for them. And yeah, and I think also maybe using your own network you have as a mentor to further help your mentee. For instance, if you can't answer a questions or if you don't have advice for a certain question, then maybe you can reach out to someone from your network who might be able to provide help with that. And yeah, I think, yeah, these are some ideas I have.
Thank you. Eva, for you, I have another question. So do you have any example or maybe a practical experiences that you can share how to integrate an intersectional perspective into mentoring program?
Okay, thank you for the question. Unfortunately, we don't have any experience where the intersectionality is addressed. But we have, as Anieta said, experiences with this mentoring. And when we develop this kind of activities, the reflection afterwards are, in this case, how we can integrate more diversity in these programs. And we would love to have involved researchers that we have here at the university, researchers, female researchers and male researchers from other parts of the world. And it would be very nice to involve them in these courses and to have the opportunity to see how they develop their work in their countries and how they are developing that career here in our university. And yes, the main point in here, I think, is to involve these diverse profiles in these mentoring workshops. And of course, when we are working with them, talking about this perspective, this women, this gender perspective, we also have to bear in mind other scenarios, other characteristics of people that usually are not included in this world of the STEM, and we must, I have to say.
Yes. So we have many questions, but regarding the time, we will, unfortunately, we will need to skip some of them because we're sure that we can as well provide some kind of answers. If you join us in our virtual space, we have a forum there. We will provide you with the link. Actually, you can create an account, you can raise many questions that you have, and we can network as well and continue the discussion there. But I will go just with two more questions for our guest. The first one is going to be for Anieta. What could help girls have a stronger sense of belonging in academic or professional communities? Something that you can sum up with and maybe motivate us.
So I think maybe one thing I haven't highlighted that much in my speech before. I think one thing is like really recognition of work and also like highlighting if you have done something very well. For instance, like I'm working in a research group, and my research group leader, he's always very encouraging. Like he always is like highlighting our achievements of all members of our group, and I think it really like it makes me feel seen and my work feels valued. And I think it also encourages me, because in the beginning I was like, oh, like will I have the skills to like be good enough to like work in this research group. And like he's really encouraging me, and he's always saying like, oh, like you're doing a great job, like. And I think this really helps, especially if you're in an environment where you might feel like you don't belong. If someone really encourages you and tells you like you are in the right spot, like you're doing a great work here, I think this can really help, like in an academic surrounding as well as in a professional community. And I think another thing is to really connect girls with other girls in their field. So this could be through different things like workshops or mentoring programs or events at university, or like, yeah, all kinds of places where safe spaces are created where girls can connect with each other. Because like whenever I participated in programs where lots of female STEM students came together, it always created a super empowering atmosphere, and I felt really understood by sharing common experiences with other participants. And it also makes you realize that you're actually not alone with your experiences. And I think this really helps in understanding that this like, I don't know, being a woman in STEM might feel like you're the only one, but it's actually not true. There are lots of others, and if you have a chance to connect with them, you can also support each other. And yeah, you can encourage each other to stay in this field and continue working and exploring and being curious and learning. And yeah, I think this would be the second thing.
Thank you, Anieta. Eva, the last question for you. From your experience, what is more effective? Top-down policies from leadership or bottom-up actions from teachers and researchers when promoting inclusion in STEM?
Well, absolutely, both of them are important. And well, in here we can introduce also the question that you wrote in the chat about if the students are enough involved. Never is enough. We, as an institution, we have to try to engage more students to work as Anieta does in her institution, because our role is very important to attract more students that are eager to change things somehow. So in this case, we need these students' initiatives, the students' effort to change things, because it's the best way to pressure the higher levels of the institution. But of course, the institution has to listen to the students for deal with all of these obstacles and to give proper answers. So we need both of them somehow. Only the students or the professors are not enough to make changes, but it's absolutely essential. And also, if the university dictaminate some rules or whatever, but the population of the university not agree with that, it's not going to have a positive effect either. So yeah, without doubt, we need the work and the emphasis of both sides.
Thank you. It's very sad to say on the end that we have come to the end of this webinar. It was really a lovely talk, not only hearing the presentation and real experiences, but in the same time as well, wonderful talks coming from wonderful and experienced speakers. So Eva and Anieta, thank you very much for everything that you contributed today. I also want to thank you all for your active participation, because we had a very active chat, which means a lot to us. So we will save the chat and we will reach you out for our further initiatives, but I as well encourage you in the chat to use our forum, because we are really looking forward to hear and to learn more about you, where we can discuss in our safe space. So today's discussion has shown that institutional change is not a one-time action. It is really an ongoing process that requires, as we all saw, a lot of commitment, collaboration, and a lot of courage to rethink the way that our system work. So this our project will continue to explore and to promote such as practices, where we are going to bringing together researchers, educators, policymakers, and innovators from across the Europe. So on behalf of our 𝘁𝗵𝗁𝗁 consortium, I would like to thank you again for being part of this important conversation, and as well stay connected with us in our social media. We look forward to seeing you in our next webinars. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and keep diving, changing in STEM. Bye-bye.